Knows Best.
Hi friends, and welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you guys? Happy Monday. Let's get into it, shall we? I was just thinking to myself, I was about to go through the titles. Do you like that I give you the snippets at the beginning? Like I tell you the titles and then we get into them? Or should I just like start with the first story, go into the second or the third? I feel like it might be helpful for you guys to know what's ahead. Let me know what you think. But here are the titles of the stories. And today is going to be 4 because I did 4 last week and the episode was still not an hour. Granted, one of them was short, but I want to make sure I have some good, juicy things for you. You know what I mean? Okay, the first story is, am I the asshole for no longer letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding because they don't want me to bring a +1? Number 2, am I the asshole for not wanting to follow my mother's rules if I'm paying half the rent as a 23-year-old female? I have no comments after this because I can't get into it or I won't shut the hell up. Number 3, am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister-in-law stay at my house after she keeps criticizing my home? Okay. And lastly, this one I threw in because it's from the relationship advice column and it's super relatable. Her story is, nobody likes my boyfriend and it's starting to affect my life. And I can't wait to dive in. Let's go back to number 1. In case you already forgot, I'll say the title again. Okay. Am I the asshole for no longer allowing my friends to use my backyard for their wedding because they won't let me bring a +1? Here's the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was the hangout spot for my friends and I throughout our childhood. This includes my friend Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie, but going through the process of getting approved to buy, I found out that she has massive amounts of credit card debt and personal debt that she hid from me throughout our 4-year relationship. I decided to break up as a result. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend, Kim, is Leslie's cousin. Okay, let me break that down. So basically, he bought his grandparents' house, and that was the house that they all hung out at. And Leslie, his girlfriend of 4 years, who he met via Dave, because Dave, and I think it's going to be that Dave and Kim are getting married. So he met Leslie through Dave because Dave's girlfriend, who's now his fiance, which we'll get into, that's her cousin. Oh, that's a little bit messy, and I already know where this is heading. Yeah, that's crazy. You find out after 4 years, which, like, again, I feel like there had to have been more going on. Also, why were you not talking about money? Like, she had all of this credit card debt and personal debt, but yeah, I wouldn't want that person, you know, on the mortgage of the house, and they weren't married, you know, so like that's not even a conversation. Which actually, you guys, that episode where I was talking about how that woman didn't want her boyfriend on the lease or on the mortgage, she wanted to buy a house and for it to be hers. I understand that they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but like they were boyfriend and girlfriend. It was like the whole situation around it. Like normally, yeah, if you're just dating a guy but you can buy a house, like you buy the house, like if you're not married. But my problem lies when you are going to get married, or let's say you're engaged. I am a believer of things being y'all's when you're together. When you're in a marriage, it's no longer me and mine, yours and his, me and yours. It's ours about everything. You know what I mean? But sorry, side tangent. Let's get back to the story. Dave and Kim are now engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, which I agreed to do. Number one, that's so fucking nice of you. Like, do you know how expensive venues are? I don't think that that should be swiftly passed. Like, that is so kind of you to do, which obviously if you're friends, it's like a no-brainer, but that's very kind. Because they would be spending a lot of money on a venue, depending on where you're located. But even in the sticks, I don't know where they are, shit's expensive. Okay, back to the story. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we are going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that it isn't happening. Dave and Kim have asked me to not bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I'm sorry. He is so graciously allowing you to have the wedding at his house. That's being a bad friend. I understand, but unfortunately, breakups happen and this is life. Tell Leslie to buck it the fuck up or tell her not to come if she can't handle, because your friend is the one allowing you to have the wedding there. Oh my gosh. I remember I had a friend back, well, she's still my friend, but back like a couple of years ago, she was in a wedding with her best friend, and her boyfriend, like they were like couple friends and they had broken up and they were both like the maid of honor and the best man, and the breakup wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. And like, that's just life and it sucks, but like, shit is only awkward if you make it awkward. Also, tell Leslie, like, she's trying to get back together. She's clearly a little bit insane, maybe, you know, if he's told her like that's not happening, she needs to stop. Oh, okay, let me keep going. Sorry, I always get ahead of myself. I'll back up one sentence. Dave and Kim have asked me to not bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I have told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house using my land, and I'm not allowed to bring a date because of a crazy ex. No, for real. I'm agreeing with the guy. I told them if that's the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. Yes, King. Pop off. I mean, yeah, that's a little bit messy. And like, if you're actually planning a wedding and it's coming up, I can imagine the bride would freak the fuck out. They are pissed about this given the short time frame of when the wedding is supposed to happen. So we are at an impasse. Am I the asshole? Number one, there are some updates, but no, you are not the asshole. That's crazy. And that's so shitty of them. Like, that is your house and your home, and you are so graciously allowing them to use your property in your house. Tell them that Leslie can't come. Tell them that Leslie is not allowed on your property. Okay, then they would have to find a venue anyways. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Which, I get it. And people who plan their weddings, I understand it's your wedding and you pick and choose and allow whoever you want at your wedding. Like, that's one thing, but you do have to understand in this weird circumstance where you're using your friend's house and they've been broken up for like over 6 months, like it might be uncomfortable. But if Leslie can't handle it, then tell her not to come. But like, to not allow, I guess, I know there's going to be so many opinions, because if this isn't a long-term girlfriend, I know that some people have a hard time, which I get it. Weddings are expensive. There's so many thoughts behind like invitations and who's allowed to have a +1, because I have heard on the internet that some people don't allow +1s to their friends who are just like casually dating because they don't want a random person at their wedding, obviously, which I do get. But I also am under the belief system, and you guys know I'm not having a wedding, so it's so judgmental for me to say this, but like, if I have somebody, a friend who is coming, I also want them to have a good time. So if they want to bring a person that they've been seeing or a date, like, pop off. I don't give a shit. And I guess, you know, it goes against everything. Like, you only want the people you know and love at your wedding. But I'm like, if I'm inviting this person and they're going to be uncomfortable or not have as much fun, like, I would want them to have fun. I have no problem. Like, yeah, come to my wedding. I don't know. I guess I've been the +1 to a lot of weddings where I didn't really know the people and they were all kind and gracious, and I didn't like, obviously I respect my lane and I know my lane, but not everybody is that way. Oh, that's really hard. But that's not the issue. They're saying that they don't want him to bring a date for Leslie's sake. It's not because they don't want some random person. They're not saying that they don't want a random person they don't know there. And maybe he wouldn't even bring somebody if he wasn't, you know, having gone on a few dates with this person. Yeah, I'm on the team of the man who's hosting the wedding. It is a little bit messy, and I get it from the wedding people, but like, you also have to understand, like, number one, just like, even if this wedding was not at his house, like, not allowing him to bring a date because of this crazy girl that he dated, I mean, I feel like that's really shitty, and you need to put Leslie in her lane. No? Okay, he has updates. And again, I don't read the comments, but like, typically these edits are brought on by comments that they've seen, people responding. Number one, I am fully aware of the liability issues, which is is why I purchased, and they are going to reimburse me for the special event insurance policy, which will provide 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc. to any of the property or persons up to $2 million. Oh, I never thought about that. People are talking legal in the comments. It is one of the first things we did after I agreed to have the event in my home. Amazing. Number 2, the wedding will have a maximum, if everyone comes, of 75 guests, 5 catering staff, and 5 security staff. The security is because this is an open area that anyone walking past can access. The house has hosted events twice this size, and logistically, it has been fine. On the property are 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will not be locked during the wedding is the finished basement. The basement has 2 bathrooms. Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody in the comments is more worried about the setting of the wedding. I didn't even think about that. Honestly, I did not even think about that because that's not what he's asking. People are so fucking weird. This is what's wrong with the internet. You make a comment. This man is asking if he's the asshole for not allowing his friends to have the party at the house. And people in the comments are fucking talking about the liability, which is, I get it, a kind thing to do and something people need to think about. But clearly he's thought about that. But that's not why he made the post. I can post something on TikTok. I can say that your ex-boyfriend sucks. And somebody's like, but my current boyfriend is good and I really love him. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's not what I'm talking about. So it's crazy that people in these comments, like, you guys, don't worry about him. That's not what he was asking about. Anyway, number 3, every person who is single, i.e. not in an established relationship, received an invitation with a +1, including me and Leslie. See? Okay. I'm glad he cleared this up because that is important with the conversation. See, what the fuck? So you're the only person that can't bring one because of Leslie? Fuck Leslie. This talk came after I sent in my return card and indicated I was bringing a +1. Now they're saying they do not want me to have a +1 because Leslie blew up about it and they are afraid of a blow up at the wedding. Then tell Leslie she can't come. She is the problem. You take care of the problem. This is one of my biggest issues. Something that me and Carter have had to deal with in our life is a person who has made us have to change what we're doing and how we're acting for their sake. It's like, if you have the motherfucking problem, then you take care of it. If you don't want to be around a certain person, then don't. But you telling the other people that they can't do something, that's not a boundary. That's not being polite. That's not anything. Like, if you are the person with the problem, then that's your issue. I hate when people try and control others, when they try and make people do to appease Leslie. Fuck Leslie. And like, shitty of you to be this person's friends and like not allow him because I get it. She is the wife's or the bride's cousin. So like, no, you can't maybe uninvite her. Like, I don't give a fuck. I would not invite her, but I understand the intricacies of it. But like, tell Leslie she needs to buck up. And like, if she is that unstable and wouldn't be able to handle that, then like, don't have her there. But like, that sucks. Then Dave's not going to come. Wait, not Dave. Dave is the husband. I don't know what this man's name is, but like, if I were him, I just wouldn't come, which sucks if that's like your closest friends. But like, it's so rude. It's so rude. Number 4, Leslie indicated she intends to bring someone on her card. I do not know if she will actually bring someone though. What the fuck? And number 2, why did they tell her in the first place? Oh, probably because she's being a psycho goddamn bitch and it's like, is he bringing somebody? Oh, who has time for that? I like cannot understand. I don't know how old these people are because he didn't say. Like, they're getting married, so I imagine they're at least in their 20s, if not 30s. Like, you're acting like a child. Grow up. You're not together anymore. He can date and move on and bring whoever he wants to whatever wedding. I'm sorry. I'm not okay with that. And I'm not okay with your friends siding with Leslie essentially, but like, that's what they're doing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of this. I don't think the guy is in the wrong. I think your friend's a low key. I do understand. Okay, I'm sitting here saying like your friends suck. I don't truly believe that because I do understand if it were me and I had a family member, my cousin, let's say, who's a psycho and you know that she's unstable and would possibly like make a big thing at your wedding. I wouldn't want that either. But again, all of us as a society, we need to start start telling the unstable people in our life that they need to go to therapy and they need to deal with their issues and to stop trying to control other people. Like, that is so annoying to me, and I can't understand it, because every time in my life, if I have a problem with somebody, if I, feel a certain type of way, whatever, I remove myself from the situation. I don't go to those people or go to this person to tell that person that they need to not do this. I'm sorry, what? Are we 5 years old? And even still, like, when I have children and they come to me with their stupid little fucking issues, I'm going to say, you buck it up. Like, you don't control other people. You don't tell other people what they can and cannot do. Hello? I'm sorry. Nope. Those are my final thoughts. Okay, let's get into story number 2. Am I the asshole for not wanting to follow my mother's rules if I'm paying half the rent? I have a lot of thoughts on this, as I always do. So let's begin. Okay. My mom and I, 23 female, okay, she's saying she's 23, are potentially getting an apartment together, and we are each paying half the rent. But she says that there will be the same rules applied as when I was still living at home with her when I was a teen. Here's the background information. My parents growing up weren't super strict, but are a little more traditional. So they had certain rules with me that I, of course, didn't like, but they still applied even once I turned 18. For example, I had to be home at a certain time, no tattoos, no sleepovers with my boyfriend at the time, and I couldn't go on any trips that the rest of my friend group went on, all girls. I'm sorry, they're not strict. They sound strict as fuck, in my opinion. However, I understood that it was their house and their rules, so of course the solution was me moving out, which I did when I turned 21. I moved out with roommates and have been living there for the past 2 years. I'm in the place financially now where I can afford an apartment of my own, and I just graduated college last month. Congrats, girl. So I've been in the process of looking for apartments. Okay, what's the issue here? Why are you moving in with her if you can afford your own apartment? At the same time that I was looking for apartments, my parents decided to split a few months ago. They are currently working on finalizing the divorce and selling the house. I'm the only one of my siblings who lives in the same state, and my mom knew about my plans to get an apartment, so she asked if I wanted to look for one together and split the rent. Oh, as a 23-year-old female, just like moving back in with your parents in general, I don't care how solid your relationship is, that's like scary business to me, but you guys know how I feel about that. In parentheses, she put, she was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and now that her and my dad are done, she's working a regular job, so she's a little bit tight on money. Okay, I can understand if you're being empathetic. This actually didn't seem like a bad idea to me, so I said yes. But now I'm not so sure. We had a conversation yesterday and I told her about my tattoo appointment coming up, which she said, enjoy now, because once we're under the same roof again, your lifestyle is gonna have to change. Ow! Your daughter is a 23-year-old adult. I'm so sorry. Quit trying to control her. I was confused at first, and that's when she mentioned that I'll have to pretty much follow the same rules that I did as when I was living under the same roof as her and my dad. This made me very upset, and I told her that if we're going to be getting an apartment where I'm paying half the bills, I'm not following her rules. Now she's saying I'm being disrespectful, rude, and she's disappointed in me. She's also upset that I no longer want to get an apartment together. She has to be a little more self-aware than that. I'm so sorry. Even if you weren't paying half of the rent, I would argue that her rules are insane. You're a grown adult. And also, like, the fact that you can live on her own, no offense, but she kind of needs you more than you need her. I would just put your mom in her place, honestly. I would say, fuck your rules. I'm paying half the rent. I'm a 23-year-old adult. Like, we can either live together, but I'm not following your stupid fucking rules as if I'm a teenager, or we're not living together and you can figure it out. And I know that's hard to do to a family member, especially your mother, but like, what are we talking about? Okay, the last little paragraph. As someone who's 23, I go out with friends at night when I'm off the next day. I've been traveling within the country every other month and just enjoying my 20s. I even have a trip to Cancun this summer for my birthday, and now apparently I'd have to cancel that? No, I'm sorry. No, you're not canceling your fucking birthday trip as a 23-year-old adult. I won't be doing anything that she doesn't agree or would make her uncomfortable inside the apartment. But outside of our living space, I don't see the problem. But I don't want to damage the relationship with my mom either. So am I being unreasonable? Fuck no. If she can't treat you like an adult, she's also like, here's my problem with parents, and I kind of understand, but I don't. And it's so easy for me to sit here and parent shame because I'm not a parent and I don't have kids. But like the super strict parents, like regardless of, we'll get into this topic. I mean, just in general, you are doing your children such a disservice by trying to shield them from like the real life. And like a lot of times I understand that parents are trying to protect their kids, but it's like they're going to go out and live on their own and experience life. Would you rather like get them started and allow them to do certain things? Like I will just never understand the helicopter parents or the parents that like won't allow their kids to do certain things. Now, here's the thing. When I have young children, like me and Carter already talk about, like we probably won't allow sleepovers because like, hello, I don't mean to get dark, but like child abuse and like sexual abuse, like I'm not allowing, like no matter how trustworthy people seem, you have no idea, and that can so quickly go downhill, and it can be people that you think are wonderful people, but like in terms of hanging out with boyfriends and like allowing them to go on trips and like have fun with their girlfriends, like what are we talking about? You also have to like trust, you know, as she was 18 years old, like she's gonna go off to college and live in a dorm. I think the worst case scenario is like you shelter your children so much and then they go out into the real world and they have no experience. They're scared. You never allowed them to do these things. They either like, I don't know, are fucking weird, or they go off the deep end because you never allowed them. Now, I don't agree with like, there are some people that I know that like allow their high school children to like drink at home and like are trying to be the cool parents. Now, I don't agree with that at all. Like I'm not going to be oblivious to the fact that our children may drink when they get into high school because it's the culture. I won't love it. I'm definitely going to be like, this shit is so bad for you. And I think also setting the example, us not drinking, will be good. But like, I'm not going to be the fucking parent who allows my children to drink at my house. Like I go back and forth because I understand you want them to be safe. Like I know these parents who have children in high school and they allow their kids to drink at the house, but they take everybody's keys and don't allow stuff to happen. And I understand how that's in some ways being smart, but I also feel like you're enabling those kids to drink. You know what I mean? Okay, sorry, I'm kind of getting carried away, but like there are ways to be, you know, smart about parenting, but like this over control, like this is a parent who just like wants to be able to control their kids. You're not helping them. Like when I think about parenting, I think about setting them up to be an adult. I don't think about having power over them. I don't think about setting up all these rules so they listen to me and respect me and I have all this control over them. I don't think that's the way to go. Okay, but back to this situation. Sorry, my little tangents. I just think that you tell her we're living together and I'm not following your stupid fucking rules, or we're not living together and I'm getting my own apartment. And I think this will be a come to Jesus moment with your mom. I actually have a friend who got her mom into therapy because they were kind of running into issues like this where she was a full grown adult and her mom was like very much still trying to like have control and say things about her life and, you know, make her do this and that. And I'm like, nope. Well, I didn't say no. She said no. And she said, Mom, I really think you should go to therapy. And I think that's great. And especially because she's a single mom, like your mom is going to be alone now. Also, it might just be weird in general, like, which maybe your mom's not thinking about, you know, dating, but I guess it's just such a different time. And I feel like it could make your relationship stronger or worse. Well, depending on how it pans out. If you live together and she doesn't do the rules, like I feel like this could be such a great moment for you guys to become like friends. Like I truly believe that you are parents until your kids turn 18. And of course you're still there for like guidance, but at 18, you're no longer a parent. You're more of a friend. You're more of a mentor. You're there for them to help them, but like you're no longer telling them what to do. You hopefully gave them the tools to then be a full grown adult. And of course they can call you and ask questions, but like I think you move into a friendship role. Me and Carter talk about this all the time because his dad was very strict growing up, like very, very, very strict and obviously very religious with the whole Mormon background. And it was just so bad. And obviously Carter, like most kids, went the opposite direction, became like a little rebellious, like little man. Well, not little. I mean, Carter's like 6'2" and like 230 or 20 pounds. Like he was that in high school, so he was not little. However, like a teen, number one, like testosterone fucking running through his veins, going through puberty from whatever age to whatever age. But his dad like tried to hold on so tight and have all of these rules, and they couldn't do this and couldn't do that. And I don't think that's very good. I don't think that's very smart. I don't think it's very helpful. You're more of a dictator. Like, I don't want to be a dictator as a parent. I want to like help my children. And again, so easy for me to fucking say this. I'm not a parent. I don't know what I'm going to be like when I'm in it. But I think that what you do in a situation like this is you go to your mother and you say, Mom, I'm 23 years old. I would love to potentially live with you. Like, it sounds like a good idea. You both would save money, obviously, instead of living by yourself. I think this could be great for us, our relationship, but I can't listen to your rules. I'm not going to follow your rules. I'm 23. I can go on trips with my friends. I've been doing that for the past 2 years. I can get a tattoo. I can do whatever I want. Like, yes, in the house, again, I still don't believe in rules. Like, obviously be just a considerate roommate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there should be crazy, heavily placed rules, but like, yeah, I can agree to like be respectful and not be loud and like not have my friends over past 10 p.m. Like if you work in the morning, but it's also like, hello. It sounds like she is a mom who's going to have a hard time. Like, I just don't think she would agree to that. And then I think you live by yourself. I don't think you move in with your mom. Don't move in with your mom and let her have control over your life as a 23-year-old. You're still very young, but you're still very much an adult and you don't have to live with her. And I think your mom should understand that or realize that. Like, you don't need her. Again, she needs you more than you need her in this situation if she has to go back and get a job, which is really sad for her. But like, this is the reality. And those are my notes on that. Let's get into number 3. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister-in-law stay at my house after she kept criticizing my home? So for a bit of context, I, 29 female, have been married to my husband, Jake, 32 male, for 4 years now. We live in a nice house that we worked hard to get. It's not huge, but it's ours and we're proud of it. My sister-in-law, Rachel, 27 female, has always been a little critical, but I brushed it off at first. Okay, number one, props to you for owning a home. Who gives a shit if it's not big or it's not that big or I don't know the situation? That doesn't matter at all. To own a home is a big accomplishment. I don't think it's everything, but I think it's amazing. I think you should be proud of yourself. And yeah, don't let somebody come in and fucking shit on your house. Okay, we're not even there yet and I'm already fired up. Let's keep going. Last weekend, Rachel was in town for a wedding and my mother-in-law asked if I could let her stay with us for a few nights. Why is the mother-in-law asking you that? Why can't Rachel come to you? Number one, my first red flag, but I'll keep going. Normally, I would have no issue with it. I get along with Rachel just fine, but I should have known something was off when she started making comments the second she stepped into our house. Okay, wait, I'm understanding this must be her first time in your house, which that's hard because if she comes in guns blazing, but you already told her she could stay there, oh, that's a little messy, but let's see what Miss Rachel had to say. First, she immediately made a face when I showed her to her room and said, "Oh, it's cozy." Oh, fuck. No. How are you? This is similar to the first one. How are you going to have somebody so graciously let you stay at their house or use their house and you're going to make a fucking weird ass comment? I just can't understand where people are so disrespectful. Where do people get off by saying these like crazy things? I know it, like, obviously, oh, it's cozy is like not on the surface level bad, but like the way she's saying it, I'm sure there was a tone. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? This person's letting you stay there. What? Then go buy a hotel. Then go stay at a hotel. Then go stay somewhere else. Like, how is somebody going to do something for you and be so kind and be so gracious and you're going to be anything other than thankful? I will not ever understand. Which, okay, sorry. I like jump out and then I jump back in. I'll restart from the top. First, she immediately made a face when I showed her to her room and said, "Oh, it's cozy," which, Okay, sure, our guest room isn't as big as a hotel suite, but it's a guest room. Then, when we sat down for dinner, she kept pointing out how dated our furniture was and how our living room didn't have any personality. It honestly felt like every other sentence out of her mouth was a dig at something in our house. That's so fucking weird. And this raises back. Oh, she's a bitch. She's a bitch. And like, even if you go over to somebody's, like, it's rude in and of itself. You're letting her stay there. But if somebody just came over for dinner and left, them commenting on your house in general is weird and rude and annoying. And I hate people like that. I hate people like that. The last straw came when she made a comment about our kitchen. I recently did a minor remodel and she goes, I mean, the cabinets are nice, but did you really need to get those backsplash tiles? They make it look so busy. Ow! She's rude. She's rude and she's mean. And she fucking sucks. I was holding back, but at this point, I snapped and said, Rachel, if you don't like it, you don't have to stay here. Yes! I feel like there's always a point in the episode where I need to clap because good for you. Like, oh my gosh. Why do you have comments on everything? Why do you have comments at all? I also just hate people in general who always express their opinion. And like, especially when it comes to something so personal. Like, it'd be one thing if we were talking about the wall being white and a person saying, oh, that black wall, or like saying something that's clearly wrong. But especially when it comes to like personal style or like home or interior design or like some things you can't change. Like sometimes people are going to buy an old home and they didn't choose that. But also sometimes people choose things and it's not your taste. It's not your taste. Like, what a weird thing to comment on. I always hate when people comment on people's fashion or their makeup, or unless it's something that's clearly wrong. Like you have a tag coming off of your shirt, or like you have something smudged, you have mascara smudged on your face. Like, if you're just commenting on the way somebody did something that's clearly the way that they did it and is their style and is their preference, it's rude, it's mean, it's weird. Just stop, as a society, stop commenting on people's things that are your opinion and are very subjective, that are very much everybody's opinion. Like, what are you talking about? Unless somebody asks for that, unless somebody asks for your opinion, or like, what do you think of this backsplash? Okay, then say it. If they are genuinely wanting your feedback on something, but for you to just be so forthcoming with your opinion when you know that she remodeled that and like is then judging you for what you chose, nope, I'm sorry, she's an asshole. After I said that, she got really quiet, and later my husband pulled me aside and said I was being too harsh. No, your sister's a bitch. Okay, sorry. He said Rachel wasn't trying to be mean. She's just expressing her opinions. Well, tell her to stop fucking expressing her opinions. Sorry. But that I should have been more gracious. She's already being gracious by letting her stay at her home. Tell your sister to keep her opinions to herself. It's rude and it's weird. He's always been kind of a peacemaker, but I honestly don't think I was in the wrong here. It wasn't just one comment. It was constant. So am I the asshole for kicking Rachel out of our house after a few harmless critiques? Nope. You were telling her that if she doesn't want to stay there, she doesn't have to. If she wants to comment on every single thing, somebody needs to put Rachel in her place. And I'm glad that you did it. And I get it as a brother, you know, should your husband have your back? Yes. And again, people interpret things differently, and like, he's used to her opinion. Well, here's the thing. When people come from those kinds of families, like, they just think that's normal and okay. But like, especially when it's always negative, like, oh, like, who wants to be around that person? Why do you only have negative things to say? If I came into somebody's home and it was something that I didn't like, I would never make a comment. I would comment on the things I do like, or just not comment at all. Shut the fuck up or get out. And like, is it a little bit crazy to say, well, no, not like, yeah, she doesn't need to stay there. You can go get a hotel if you're going to be. And it's not like she's saying that it's like anything having to do with her stay there, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not about it. I think that Rachel is rude. I think that you were totally fine to say that. And yeah, she needs to keep her big fat mouth shut. That's what I think. Okay, and lastly, but certainly not least, because I feel like a lot of girlies who are dating a goddamn loser are gonna love this one, or who have dated a loser in the past that nobody liked. Nobody likes my boyfriend, and it's starting to affect my life. Me, female 23, and my boyfriend, male 25, have been dating a little over a year. We met at my workplace. I know, ... Has this girl seen my TikToks? I'm dead. And moved in together last July. Because of a financial situation, I had to move in with him even though I didn't feel quite ready. Lesson number 1. Okay, I'm already jumping to the freaking start. Coworker, bad. Second of all, moving in for financial reasons. I get it. I understand the economy, especially as of late, insane, but like the worst way and reason to move in with a man. And this is exactly how you get stuck. I'm just saying that. Things were good when we first met. I mean, the guy is a little strange, but I knew that from the start and appreciated it. What a crazy thing to say about your boyfriend, but let's keep going. We had the same humor and got along, and that's all that mattered to me. I like having someone who is different than me to converse with. Oh, see, already. Well, number 1, she's 23. They've only been together a little over a year. They moved in together last July, and if they've been together over a little over a year, you know, that was like probably what, 6 months, I guess 7 months into the relationship. When you're young, the reasons you date somebody are so different than the reasons you date somebody at 27. You just don't know anything. Like the fact that she said we have the same humor and got along, and that's all that mattered to me. It like that's a small piece of the puzzle for sure. I'm there. It's great. It's wonderful. Not that important. What's important is like aligning on all of the big things, like what you agree on, you know, finances, kids, family, religion. Like when you're a 19-year-old, again, she's 23, which is like a little bit out of college. You're like, do we listen to the same music? Do we like the same songs? Can we go to concerts together? And I'm sorry not to like make fun of, I don't know why I'm making that voice, but I was that bitch. Like you're just young. You don't know. It's like those things are not important. Even having the same, I mean, you need to be able to laugh together, but like, you know, it's so interesting because before Carter, all I ever dated were like the fun, goofy guys because I'm like, oh, I'll just have fun with them and that's great and that's who should be my life partner. Carter and I probably, we laugh together all the time, but like Carter isn't like a super goofy, funny dude. Like that's not who he is because he's like a hardworking, ambitious person, which you can definitely be both. But like all of my boyfriends in the past, they like had no ambition, had no drive, but they were like fun to be around and goofy. But like Carter is just like very much more a serious person. And like, so are we, you know, we laugh all the time, but is that like the number one thing that I was looking at? No. You know what I mean? But I'm a 27-year-old adult who like realizes that we need to align on finances and life goals and children and marriage and all of those things. Sorry, going into a tangent, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, I just feel bad. And then you're living with this guy and oh, I already know where this is going. To preface, when my boyfriend is around me, he's either very shut in playing games or very excited to show me little Instagram memes and affection. However, when he began to meet my friends and family, he wouldn't put any effort in. He'd sit in the corner awkwardly silent, often looking pissed, and it would pique everyone's interest. They either thought we were fighting or that he was upset. My friends, family, and I played it off at first, like, hey, maybe he's just super introverted, right? I'm sorry, this kind of like sounds like a joke now that I'm reading it. I'm a little bit confused when she said he's either very shut in playing games. What does that mean? Or very excited to show me little Instagram memes and affection. Okay, like that's cutesy, but like very shut in playing games. But then the not putting in any effort with friends or family, that's just like such odd behavior to me. Like if you're dating a person, I don't understand how people like, I don't think it's good and I don't think it's healthy to be like, I used to be insane. I'm like, I need these people to love me. I want his parents to love me and his friends. Like I used to be over the top, but like to not even like try a little bit, like wouldn't you want to put in a little bit of effort? That's a little odd to me. But anyways, let's keep going. I never believed in love at first sight. So even though we started in a good place, but wasn't sure if I'd marry him, I thought we would learn, grow together and get better. Instead, our relationship has gone very downhill. Well, number one, the fact that you're saying it was good but you thought that you would learn and grow together and get better, clearly tells me that there are things that are wrong that you aren't enjoying. I guess maybe she's talking about the whole like introverted thing, like not being good with the friends and the family, which is just like, it's not right or wrong. Like some people are introverted and awkward and like that's okay. But it's like, if your friends and family are important to you and you want to like have a relationship where everybody's interacting and he's just not doing that, that's just like a compatibility issue. It's similar to the conversation of like when, you know, let's say you have a partner who doesn't like necessarily love your family, which like, again, on paper, people would be like, that's so bad. But like, if you don't have a good relationship with your family and you don't see them a lot, that's not a big deal. But if your family is your everything and your partner just like doesn't like them, that's a big issue, you know? So like, I'm not going to say that he's in the blame or like he's at fault for like being potentially introverted and like, you know, just being quiet and like whatever. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it just depends on your lifestyle. And if you want to have this relationship, like if Carter were a super introverted person, if he was acting like this, that's okay, because like we don't even leave our goddamn house. Like I see my family twice a year. You know, it's like deeper than that, but do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Anyways, let's keep going. Instead, our relationship has gone very downhill. Our differences have begun to become unbearable to me. He's constantly quiet and reserved, and it comes off like he's pissed 24/7. Although he always denies being upset, it's so hard to relate and talk to him when I'm very extroverted and he's being extremely quiet and indifferent. Yeah, well, that's a compatibility issue. This is what I was saying. Lastly, I have had multiple of my friends express that they think he doesn't like them because of the way he acts, and it seems that they don't want to be around him either. My family has asked me multiple times, "Are you sure about this one?" Which is disheartening to me because I value their opinions a lot. Well, it already sounds like you know it's not a good thing. This is what love is like, so fucking annoying, because when you think you love someone or you do love somebody but they're not good for you and you know it's not good, but like you're in it, it's so funny to be in it and you just like cannot think clearly for the goddamn life of you. I don't know what that is. I don't get it. It's crazy in love, blind, whatever, love makes you blind, however you want to call that. It's crazy because you're telling me here that things haven't been good. You said our differences have begun to become unbearable to me. Like that's clearly not a good thing, you know. But again, there's so many layers. You live together, so you realize you can't like break up like this. You can, but in our brains, we tell ourselves like, oh shit, you know, I got to figure something out. I got to be able to move out. So like, this is exactly why when you move in, again, I'm a proponent or like I'm an advocate of moving in with your partner before marriage. Sorry if that's bad advice, but I think you should. But I think you should do it, but also be able to move out of it, because worst case scenario is it doesn't work, you learn, which this is actually best case scenario. Thank God you didn't marry this person and then live together and find out these things. So I think it's a good thing. But in case that you do break up, you need to be able to move out so you're not stuck. Like that's the thing. You know what I mean? So, I feel for her because she's young and she's in a hard spot. But anyways, like it's so funny to me. And I get it. Like, it's hurtful when your friends or family like don't think good of your partner, but it's like you also don't think good of your partner. But when you're in it, you want to defend them and your love is just like so deep and you're like, oh, I'm sad my family doesn't like him. But it's also like you don't like him, but you just like can't think clearly while you're in it. You know what I mean? Okay, yesterday was my birthday dinner and my best friend brought a guy she is talking to. Today she confided in me that her guy was worried my boyfriend was racist because of the way he was acting and not trying to converse. The guy said he tried hard to talk to my boyfriend, but he just wouldn't engage. This really upset me because my boyfriend is definitely not racist, but always has this fucking attitude. I'm actually dead. Oh my gosh. Well, that's like crazy that this guy automatically assumed like that because this guy's like weird and introverted and didn't talk to him. I'm guessing the guy is black or, you know, whatever, and is calling him racist just because he didn't engage when this guy's just like a fucking loser. Like she said, he's not a racist, but he just always has this fucking attitude. You girls crack me up, which I don't know this person. This is obviously a Reddit story, but it's like reading this aloud. It's like, listen to yourself. You do not like this man. You don't like his attitude. You know that he's introverted and you're extroverted. But that's like a crazy part of the story, that this guy thought he was racist. Those people need some help. Just because somebody didn't engage with you and you're a certain race, like that doesn't make the person racist. That problem number one, like your friends, that's also fucking crazy. Your friends sound a little bit immature, or her boyfriend or the guy that she's seeing. But number two, like the fact that you just low-key hate your boyfriend, but you're defending him. Well, it's so funny because you hate your boyfriend low-key, but like, yeah, if somebody comes at my partner or like my friend who like I'm not even like that good of friends with, or that I don't really like, but you have a good heart, so you're like defending them. That's so funny. I'm dead. Everyone around my life that cares for me is expressing that they aren't sure about him for me because we are so different. And usually I wouldn't care, but it's starting to change my attitude towards him. I'm so scared to tell him that I don't have feelings anymore and want to separate because having differences doesn't feel like a valid reason to break up. No, that's the perfect reason to break up. That's exactly why you break up. That's like literally, ugh. But like, okay, let's keep going and then I can dive more in. Last month, I tried to tell him that I want to live separately when our lease ends because living alone is something I value, and I was practically forced to move in with him due to finances. He cried and said he wouldn't have anywhere to go if I moved out, so I settled it by having different bedrooms in the same house when we move out. No! That's on him for not having a backup, but fuck! This is exactly why these things are so messy, because you have a heart and you, no matter how badly you want to break up with somebody or think that it's not a good thing, you cared for them or still care for them. You don't want them to be homeless or be in a bad spot, but you also have to take care of you. And this is why things are so extra hard for women, because we have the biggest hearts and we just are way more empathetic. And it's not a competition. I'm not saying that like it needs to be a competition. I'm just saying that women especially have a hard time. And like we often, when guys break up with us and like it's out of nowhere or it's a bad time or it's on the birthday or you live together and it seems so cold and so harsh, it's actually very admirable. Is that how you even say admirable? Admirable? You know what I'm saying? That it just sounded weird coming out of my mouth. That men can be so logical. Like that's the thing. Women are just naturally, I think, more emotional and men are more logical. And again, it's not a competition. I'm not saying one's better than the other. And again, I don't mean to generalize, but I think that's like a fair statement to say. I'm not trying to be like sexist. I'm just like, that's kind of fact. No, they are just so much more logical. So when something's not working out for them, they break up, and it seems harsh and it seems cold, and it can be, but it's also like they're really doing you a favor, but they're just better at like doing that. Whereas women, why I think we often find ourselves in situations where we're stuck. Now you're doing this thing to appease him. The only reason you agree to that is because you feel bad for him, when really you need to take care of yourself and stand up for yourself and do what's best for you. But we just have big fucking hearts. And so we do this stupid shit. And I just want to shake us, because it's so wonderful. Like it is our strength that we are so empathetic. And some people are, some women are not. Obviously, I'm generalizing here, but like it's one of our greatest strengths and why we're such good mothers and such good caretakers and such good people, because we deeply care and we deeply want the best for everybody. But it also is our biggest weakness at times in relationships, because number one, we get used, we get stepped on, we get walked over, but then you find yourself in these situations where you're doing it for them. Like the only reason you agreed to do is that because you felt bad for him, and that just sucks because it's not what's best for you. But like we just have such a harder time like deciding and being cold and just saying to hell with it. You got to figure it out, and it is on him. And like it sucks and it's sad because you care about them, but like he should not also be in this predicament. I get it, the economy, totally, like there are other moving factors, but like he needs to move in with a friend, he needs to move in with family. There's got to be something for him, or he needs to figure that out, because it's not fair to you to keep yourself stuck and in this weird bad relationship when you need out. You know what I mean? Like you are keeping yourself from living your life. Anyways, okay, she goes on to say, I know where the story ends and the obvious solution is to break up, but I don't know how to navigate it and I don't want to hurt him. I know I have to, but I have a huge problem with tense situations like these. I'm so avoidant to hurt him that I contemplated moving back home as an excuse to break up with him, but I realized that that would just ruin everything I have going for me right now. Any advice would be helpful. I just don't know how to talk to him about this. This man is not your problem, and the quicker us women, number one, having these hard conversations, it's never gets easy, but it gets easier to do when you have them. Like, I used to be really bad at having hard conversations, but you just have to rip off the Band-Aid and do it, because it's only bad for both of you. It's not even that, like, yes, in the short term, it sucks for both of you and it sucks for him because he doesn't want the breakup. He's stuck. He doesn't know where to go, but like, that is not your problem. And us as women need to learn how to like disengage, or to like just really have our own back and be like, I need to think about me. I need to take care of me. What's best for me? And you can't think about the other people, because if you do, this is like anything, you guys, I could worry myself sick with so many things, thinking about my relationship with my mom, thinking about sad things that go on in the world, thinking about, you know, people that are homeless, thinking about like us as women. Like, I could literally sit and cry all day thinking about the horrible things that happen in this world, but you cannot, because it affects your life. There's a time and place for things like that, but like, when it comes to your relationship and your life, you just have to do what's best for you and not think about the others. And it's gonna be sad and it's gonna be hard, but like, you're only wasting your own time. You're only prolonging the inevitable. You're gonna break up. So like, really, you just have to rip off the Band-Aid. And if I can give any advice to women out there that are with people, maybe not this exact situation, but you're living with a guy, or you're not, but you're in a relationship with a guy that you know isn't right, but you just don't know how to break up with him, just rip off the Band-Aid. It's always going to suck. It's always going to be hard. You know what they say, how like guys will like do horrible things until you finally break up with them because they don't want to do it. Like, nobody likes breaking up with a person. It's honestly one of the worst things to do. It sucks. Like, I've had to break up with guys in the past that loved me and adored me and that I loved them, but it's like, it was not good for me, and it also isn't good for them. If I'm not their person, like if I know that they're not my person, then I'm not theirs. Like, it goes both ways, whether they think it at the time. So this girl, like, you just have to, you're doing what's best for everybody, even though it's going to be hard in the short term. What's worse than that is sitting here and then getting into a new lease with a man that you know isn't right and being stuck. And then even if you do break up, you're still living together, so you can't date, or you can date. It's just going to be so fucking messy. And just like, your environment is also everything. So like, living with an ex is just such a bad position to be in, because who wants to come home from their job and their ex-boyfriend that they broke up with, who wasn't a good partner, just wasn't a good fit, even if it was cordial, who wants to come home to that? Who wants to come home to anybody? A girl roommate, that sucks. Like, your environment, your home should be your safe space, and it's just hindering you from moving on with your life and like finding the right person, or just being single and living your best life. So you got to rip off the Band-Aid and just keep it moving. And that's my thoughts on that. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm realizing that I'm whipping through these really fast, so maybe I'll just keep adding more stories, but I hope you guys are still liking this format. I am getting a new management who is going to help with the podcast, so things still might be changing and we might be getting some guests. Now, this would take some time, but this situation is always evolving and growing, and I want to make it the best for you. So always give me your feedback. But so far, it sounds like you guys are loving it and I'm loving it. So thank you. And we will see you on Friday. Who's we? I will see you on Friday, and I can't wait. I hope you have the best week, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye guys.